In your new book, you give us 40 reasons not to have children. This from a mother of two. What led you to write this book?
I thought it would be fun to write a tongue-in-cheek book about children, and of course about conventional parents. A book that tells the truth about the shortcomings of having children.
But you set out, I mean, you say, right, that you want to explode the myth that having children is blissful and wonderful. Why did you feel that was necessary?
At the beginning of the book was a conversation with a friend, and I told her that sometimes life was so difficult with children that I sometimes regret having them.
Yeah.
And she told me, "Ah, how can you say that?" And she was shocked, and I thought it would be fun to write a book about this.
You think you're saying something that most people believe but don't say themselves?
Yes, maybe, yes. Some of them, but some don't. And
but some people truly love being a parent and aren't giving up anything.
No, I think some people think that in family there is only love and affection. Whether the truth is, in all families, all families have to deal with love and hate relationship, resentment, and it's normal, and we have to accept that. It's part of life in families.
Now, I want to get this quote because it's so delicious. I say, you've courted a great deal of controversy by saying that children are, and I quote, vicious little dwarfs who will treat you like a servant, cost you a lot of money, and can end up disappointing you. Are you just being provocative here for the sake of being provocative, or do you actually kind of believe that?
Yes, part of it, because you spend maybe 20 years of your life looking after them, and of course you give a lot, but you have to make a lot of sacrifices. And the more you give, the more you feel guilty, in fact.
By virtue of giving?
Yes. And of course, children are always different than what you expect. And they are not the perfect person or the perfect child that you dream of. They have their own personalities. So, of course, you are always disappointed.
Now, as we said, there's been a lot of reaction, and those who are part of the cult of children have said, you know, look, you're just ignoring all the wonderful benefits of being a parent, and that you're just encouraging selfishness among parents. How do you respond to that kind of critic?
Families can be also very selfish. Most parents have children for themselves. They have children because they are afraid to be alone, or they are afraid to die without leaving anything to society. So it doesn't prove anything. You can be very selfish when you have children, and you can be very selfish without children.
Now, you do admit that part of the way you've written this book is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. You're having fun.
Yes, of course.
At people who do revel in babydom. Are there good reasons to have children, in your view?
There are reasons, but there are also reasons not to have children. But you can find reasons for both ways.
Your concern is that no one's just stated the other side, the guilty little feelings we have, but that we're afraid to articulate.
Yes, I think we're afraid to make fun of it, in fact, because children are probably a kind of secular religion.
Now, you've coined a term that you said doesn't translate that well into English, but it's murdeuf. You talk about it. But tell me what kind of woman you're talking about when you use that term.
In English, I think it's soccer mom.
It's kind of a soccer mom, okay.
And it's the conventional mother who thinks that nothing is more important than her children. And so she talks about them all the time. So she has no conversation. She is not interested in anything else. And of course, she's very boring. And she is stuck to her children. And she doesn't, I think she doesn't consider her own desires, and she minimizes the importance of the present.
I want to talk about desires in a minute, because this is an interesting subject area as well. But you also say that, that motherhood often is a trap for women. Is this what you're talking about, that they become unidimensional? Is that what you're...
Yes, it's a trap for I think for some women, for a lot of women probably, because they are so busy with their children that they forget about themselves. They forget about many things, about having fun, having a career, sometimes changing of partners, and she can feel stifled at home. And in France we have a kind of baby mania. In France, it's considered that it's great to have children, but the truth is, France is a very old-fashioned society nowadays, with full of pressures, and we have nothing to be proud of except the high fertility rate. So it doesn't prove that France is in good health.
So you think all these women having babies are not doing this of their own choice, that there's societal pressures and that there's societal inducements to have more children?
Well, it's part of the answer, but it's true that there are pressures, and it doesn't prove that they are happy with the choice they make. And the proof is that French women are less likely to reach a higher position or interesting job than their American counterparts.
Now, your critics have said what you're encouraging women to do is choose between motherhood and success, that they're essentially two different things. Can women not have it all? Can they not have success and motherhood, both?
Well, sometimes they can. But most of the time they can't. In fact, the truth is they can't, because they have to be home. In rich societies, women still do 80% of the housework. So it proves that they still have to do a lot, even if they have a job outside. But if they have a job outside, they have to accumulate both things, family and work, and they work a lot.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because you're obviously very kind of critical of the male in the family relationship, the fathers that are more or less absent. I mean, is there anything new about that, or is that kind of as old as having children?
Magazines tells us that there are new things about the new father that is more concerned than it used to be. But in fact, I don't believe it, because the figures have not changed, and it's still mothers that do most of the housework. So, of course...
And the mothering, the raising of children as well.
And the raising of children as well. So, of course, it's a burden that they carry, and it's a burden for women more than for men.
You also make the point that having children, for most couples, is the death knell of desire and sex. Tell me about that.
Parents are so busy with the children that they forget about their own couple, and they forget about fun and about the pleasure of life.
And the children are making them do that?
It's a consequence. It's sad consequences. It's part of the sad consequences of having children. I think so. And there are a lot of divorces after people have when people have children, especially two children. I've seen figures about this. It's a common that they divorce.
Now, you also say we've got plenty of children. We've got as many as we need. Plus, they're bad for the environment.
Yes, because they make us consume a lot. When we are parents, we buy a lot of things. We change of house, we change of cars, we buy a lot of gadgets, and of course it's not good for the environment.
Now, what about the argument that the population is aging, that we're going to have labor force shortage? What about, forget about if there's no real joy in parenting, what about the practical thing, that we just need more kids?
I think it's not true. In fact, it's not true, because if we need more people to pay the pensions, because it's an argument that sometimes people give you, I think we should open the door to immigrate. There are people all over the world that would love to live in a rich country, so we could welcome them and it would do perfectly fine to pay the pensions.
Now, in the book, I mean, you have confessed that there have been times where you've bitterly regretted having children. You've written now a very popular book, No Kids. You're an advocate for no kids. How do your children respond to that?
In fact, I have written a lot of books, and they don't care. They don't care about what I'm doing, which I understand because they have their own life. And recently, my daughter, who is 15, has read this book.
Yes.
And she said it was fun, and she thought it was
good. She's good with it all? She doesn't think you're a bad mom?
No, because when it was released in France 2 years ago, I've explained them that it was not against them, that
Right.
it was a caricature of many things connected to parents and children. And I think they've understood that it was also kind of social critique.
Corine Maier, I want to thank you very much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.